Oh, wow. Okay, so before we get started, I'm actually curious a little bit about all of you in the audience today. How many of you didn't start out in this industry of web development? That's good, that's good, that's very good. I'm a big believer in cross careers. Now, question, how many of you just aren't in web development? Okay, so some of you just dived right in with both your feet. There's nothing wrong with that, but for some of us, we didn't always have, we weren't always web developers. We had previous careers, and I'm here to talk a little bit about what it looks like when you go off-road with your career. So, back in the day, I used to be known as Rachel the Great to thousands upon thousands, actually 400,000, probably mostly teenage girls, every Wednesday on a website called girl, spelled with a U.com. And they were scattered all across the world. I had hordes and hordes of fangirls, and I've been doing this since I was 17. I followed that do what you love and the money will follow mantra, and I loved my work. And I rode my webcomic out to rural poverty. I won awards. I published mini comics, and I saw real cities selling comics. It was great. It was really cool. Made about 16.5K a year, which is pretty good for comics and pretty good for rural Virginia. Like, a lot of my waitress friends would be like, "You made what?" Girl, how do I draw? But unfortunately, life happened. I needed jaw surgery, and 16.5K a year, that's not going to happen, especially not before Obamacare. And people have it so easy these days. So I looked at my skills, and I was like, what is somebody going to pay me money to do? What can I possibly do to make that cash so I can get this surgery? Because no health insurance, I should probably get that too. Well, I keep building these websites to promote the comics, and I've been doing this since I was 16, 17, because that's how you got out of rural America. You made a GeoCities site at your public library, and you were like, has anyone emailed me this week? I can't wait to check. So thus began Chapter 2, Rachel the Web Developer. So yeah, I learned very quickly that 60 hours of comic income in a week was equal to about 1 weekend's worth of WordPress development. So you imagine that I went out and I sought my fortunes, and everyone loved me, and I've been kicking ass ever since, and traveling the world and taking names, etc. You'd think it all worked out like that, but it wasn't quite so pretty. I happened to arrive on the web development scene at a very bad time, just in time for the Great Recession. My first job as a web designer was about $24,000 a year, no health insurance included. I was a junior web designer, and about 3 months in, they let me go without reason. Just before the housing market crashed, and it was a hell of a time to look for work. I will say that in Raleigh, North Carolina, a lot of times I got called in for interviews just so they could ask, so what did our competitor do to you? It wasn't pretty. I really wish that we had had some of the programs that we have now, like Chick Tech, back when I was getting started. But it was really a bro camp, if you were one of the boys or you didn't fit in. That was at least my introduction. So anyway, after some freelancing, I finally managed to go in-house at, guess what? Yes, you're gonna think, it's gonna be like a cool agency, or I'm gonna be working for like, you know, some really awesome company, or you know, at least it'll be humdrum, maybe the government, an adult advertising agency. And I stayed with them for 2.5 years so that I could get my jaw surgery. I stuck to it. But I wanted to speak at local meetups. I was like, yeah, I'm doing all this cool stuff with CSS and JavaScript, and I want to talk, and you know, you're all so cool, I want to be one of you. And unfortunately, they didn't really like the idea that there might be like a nip slip or something in the middle of one of my talks, so it never worked out. So I got my surgery, and I was like, things are gonna change. And I have to leave you, adult advertising, because you are slovenly and nobody wants to talk to me while I'm with you. So I started speaking locally about comics and design because, you know, comics actually applies a lot to graphic design, and WordPress security, because I was very into WordPress. Started speaking at conferences specifically because my new bosses, like my old bosses, didn't have an education budget. And the best way to get out of town and, you know, learn from other people would be like, oh, well, I have a talk. Could you pay for me to come give my talk and I could learn from you? Well, by 2012, speaking was getting me into so many comps, and web animation was making me feel so alive. Even though I was very happy with the last in a string of startups I was working for, I was like, I have something to share, and I'm passionate. I have to leave you. I'm going to try to somehow do this thing for a living. Oh God, I'm falling in love with work again. So I tried interviewing for positions in the Bay Area, but no one there was as excited about the things that I am. This was only like 2 years ago. At the time, I went on East Coast, I went on West Coast. Where are we going to move from North Carolina to? Is it going to be New York City? Is it going to be Portland? Is it going to be San Francisco? Where's it going? And, well, unfortunately, when I went to San Francisco, most of what I got was, well, animation's not that important to us. How are your Angular skills? That was a little sad. I was like, but animation's important to your user experience, and I know so much about it and its principles. And it's like, we don't have room for that. But New York was a little bit better. The process was pretty disillusioning, and in the meantime, I was doing all these really cool projects around things like, this is an educational project about CSS animations that I did with Adobe Inspire, reinventing Alice in Wonderland. I thought we needed a new Alice for a new era. And I did this experimental collaboration with a young Russian cartoonist. She does these kind of interactive story comics. If you're familiar with Homestuck, there's a whole generation of creators for the internet that are kind of cast adrift without Flash to use. But I helped her do her things in HTML5, and it was really fun. And I really enjoyed doing these things, so I figured, why not just keep doing that? I won't take any of these job offers. I'm going to go to Portland. I'm going to try to make this work. So I kept traveling and speaking and consulting, and I got to tell you, half the time I don't really feel like I belong here, because I went from this, that's my chicken pulsar right there, I was about 14, to this. And that's me keynoting in Poland just a few months ago. So it's 2016, and I'm doing what I love again. God damn it. It's like falling in love with a high school guitarist. You're just certain he's going to go somewhere, but he's just sitting on the couch every time when you come home, and you're like, when are you going to go out and make me money? And everyone's like, Rachel, you're so cool. You're so successful. This is awesome. How do I be like you again? This reminds me an awful lot of the emails I used to get from teenage girls. And I want to be like, guys, I'm not sure if this is success, because they're not seeing like the downside to this. Like, this is from something I wrote about where I was recently bounced at the UK border because I was speaking in a country and they were like, what are you doing here? Or the time I caught pneumonia in Manila and it completely wiped out a quarter worth of work because pneumonia takes a long time to get better from. I probably got pneumonia because I was hauling ass on a project too late at night. Or, you're not seeing me worry about my retirement account. Speaking of which, the markets are super low right now. If you don't have an IRA, go home, research what one is, and get one. You need it. And then I see people like Molly Holzschlag. She's one of the top 25 most influential women on the web. She's published 35 books. She's spoken in 15 plus countries. Cancer is kicking her ass right now, and she's having to take donations. Same for Carolyn Wood, confined to a wheelchair, also getting her ass kicked. Is this what success looks like? Is this what success is for me? Well, like all things in tech, it depends. Now, while it's true I'm not making what in-house women would make, I'm still making more than I did before, for what that's worth, if you want to measure success by numbers. I'm doing my own things, so if you're measuring success by doing the things you want to do, I'm kicking ass there too. I run webanimationweekly.com, a Slack channel for people doing web animation online. I speak at a heck of a lot of conferences, probably too many, and I write a lot too. And I even sometimes get paid when I put my courses up on my site, for what that's worth. This means that because of all this, I've been to Europe, I've been to the Philippines, I've been to Australia, I've revisited Germany several times, and Germany was on my teenage bucket list. It was just all about those dirndls. I moved to Portland, also on my bucket list. All my cartoonist friends were in Portland. It's kind of the cartoonist Valhalla, or at least it was, until horrible carpetbaggers like myself moved up here. And I married this nerd, who is totally worth being married to, so that's winning. All right, and I gotta tell you here, I don't know if I can speak for the other 20% of the industry, but sometimes just being here feels like a success in and of its own. Now, I can look back and see that for a long time, I was confused by what other people defined success as being. There it was just looking busy or having fancy dinners or flying or speaking or getting awards. There's all kinds of ways that other people are going to measure success, and they're going to cheer for you when you get what they think success looks like. Even speaking for a long time, I was using as a measure of my success. Now, success is largely subjective. When I was a teen, it meant getting a publishing contract. I never got one. I had to self-publish. In my 20s, it was all about just getting that job surgery out of the way and moving on with my life. And as a 31-year-old, I gotta say, it's something more nebulous. What goals are left? But I can say that when I was recovering from surgery, when I was stuck in bed for 4 weeks with pneumonia, at no point did I think, but there are so many pixels I want to push still. I realized that projects, speaking, all these things, they have stopped meaning success to me. They're not something I'm going to look back on my deathbed and be like, yeah, but that thing we did for Mozilla, that was the achievement of my life. I'm so proud of that. What happens in those cases is all you can really think about, for me at least, is getting out of that bed and being a human again. And success is sometimes a goal you achieve, and then you find another one. Success is like home, it's a place and time, or helping someone else find their success. I'm showing you a lot of pictures of people, and they don't mean anything to you, and that's the point. These are my successes. So in the end, success is unique to each of us. Career paths can be long, and they're not always clear, but you are the one who defines success for you. And never lose track of that. Don't be distracted by what other people think. Close your eyes and try to imagine you're on an island where no one else's opinion matters but your own. Are you on the right path? We got a little off-road. We're supposed to talk about career off-roading. We talked about success, but that was the point of the talk, so it's super meta. Sometimes when moving from one path to the other, you go off-road, and that's what makes life worth remembering. Thank you.